They planned, first, to prepare the United States for foreign war under the guise of American defense. Second, to involve us in the war step by step without our realization. Third, to create a series of incidents which would force us into the actual conflict. These plans were, of course, to be covered and assisted by the full power of their propaganda. Our theaters soon became filled with plays portraying the glory of war. Newsreels lost all semblance of objectivity. Newspapers and magazines began to lose advertising if they carried anti-war articles. A smear campaign was instituted against individuals who opposed intervention. The terms fifth columnist, traitor, Nazi, anti-Semitic were thrown ceaselessly at anyone who dared to suggest that it was not to the best interests of the United States to enter war. Men lost their jobs if they were frankly anti-war. Many others dared no longer speak. Before long, lecture halls that were open to advocates of war were closed to speakers who opposed it. A fear campaign was inaugurated. Propaganda was in full swing.
But as we got closer to war, the domestic campaign launched against American citizens was ramped up. Books like Sabotage and Undercover were published, which painted everyone from Christians who criticized Jews to anti-war demonstrators as Nazis, and created an element of fear that a third column of Nazi agents were operating within the United States. This is not only absurd and almost laughable today, but the fact that many people accused of such are actually warning about the real threat operating within the United States, which was communism. And by the peak of escalation of the war, the Great Sedition Trial of 1944 was engineered by the American Jewish Committee, the ADL, and B'nai B'rith, whose intentions were to imprison anti-communist patriots, anti-war activists, outspoken Christian pastors, who were all being charged with plotting to establish a National Socialist form of government in the United States. Imagine that. Publishers, writers, preachers, mothers who were anti-war activists, and patriots who simply opposed FDR, all snatched up by the FBI from their homes and brought to Washington, D.C. to face charges of a Nazi conspiracy. What they all did share in common were publishing books and other materials which were critical of Jews. Essentially, that was their crime.
Shalom. Welcome to another video. And as always, before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachwadash, and next double honors to the head apostle / elder bishop of the great millstone who teach and who rule well. Peace, blessings, and safety to all you sincere Akim. Keep pushing, keep believing, and keep the faith, regardless of what people hear or what they forbear. Alright, and this is a reaction to the clip that I put in the introduction to this video. Pretty much going into how these different wars are all bankers' wars. They were all set up, okay, they were all created particularly, by elite banking families, for their own profit. And, in the past, anybody who spoke out against these things would be, imprisoned, ridiculed, etc., etc. All right, because as we always go into, there is a secret council, all right, that is running the society from behind the scenes. The guys that are really in power, all right, you don't even know who they are. You don't know their names. All right, and these are the ones known of as the Illuminati in popular culture, okay, in the Bible known of as Lucifer. All right, and they're the ones that are running the show behind the scenes, okay, and while they put on this facade to be, these benevolent rulers of the world, all right, deep down inside, okay, they're really maniacs, all right, they're psychopaths, and, as we get closer and closer to the end, they're looking to destroy the people of the earth, okay, and specifically Jake, because they know that the successors of the rulership of the world, their successors will come out of the 12 tribes. So just wanted to bring out this clip, and then of course bring out some prophecies and how Rachazah, meaning Heavenly Father's will, is edifying to the elect. Starting off here in Psalm 64 and verse 1. Alright, this portion of the chapter is entitled Prayer for Deliverance from Secret Enemies. It says, Hear my voice, O Yahweh, and my prayer, preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him, and fear not. It says, They encourage themselves in an evil matter, they commune of laying snares privily, and they say, Who shall see them? Okay, so once again, the secret counsel of the wicked, right? The uprising of the workers of iniquity. Okay, starting off with the elite banking families, and like I said, there's guys that are behind the scenes that you don't even know exist. Okay, and as we speak, they're plotting and planning on how to take down, all right, really the people of this society. All right, how to do mass depopulations worldwide to make the population smaller to be able to control. All right, and war. Okay, he didn't say it outright, but there's a book or movie called All Wars Are Bankers' Wars. All right, and that's pretty much what they were saying, that these things are privately funded and manipulated to make happen, to force us into war. All right, and they're trying to use that, like I said, for mass depopulation, and ultimately because they want to gain total control, which one of their main methods of that will be through that RFID microchip, known of in Revelation 13 and 16 as the mark of the beast. All right, and us as the hopeful elect, let's get this precept. 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. It says, Lest Satan should get an advantage over us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Okay, his devices, his schemes, his methods, his tricks. All right, we have been given the spiritual eye salve to see what is going on behind the scenes. Okay, to see who the wicked is, who the righteous is. All right, we've been given that spiritual discernment, so we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. When we see different things happen, okay, on a worldwide scale, on the forefront, we're able to filter it through biblical prophecy. All right, and we know what's really going on behind the scenes. Okay, now, there may be certain details we don't know, but the general gist of what's happening and who's responsible, we're able to discern. All right, let's get this one, Psalms 55 and 21. All right, it says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. All right, so that is a deception of Esau. Okay, Esau portrays himself, all right, to be as the good guy. Okay, and really deep, really inside, okay, behind the scenes, he's really the one orchestrating all the different chaos and calamities that happen, all right, in this society. Okay, especially the 1948ers. All right, and even other so-called white people waking up to the fact that they're controlling a lot of things behind the scene, like the whole, the 911 thing. All right, everybody, and you know what I'm talking about, using code. Okay, and people know that there was an inside job. There's even Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit was talking about that. He was talking about how, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and people are realizing, for the most part, who's responsible for it. Okay, but they have been able to hide under the radar as the good guys and portray themselves as victims. But now the world is waking up to their nonsense, man. Okay, but us as the hopeful elect, once again, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. This is Psalms chapter 120 and verse 6. It says, My soul hath long dwelt with him that hateth peace. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. Okay, so really, Jake just wants peace. All right, but we're not going to have any peace because we live in a society that's ruled over by the wicked. And that's their MO, to steal, to kill, and to destroy. All right, and we'll close it out with this, a prayer, okay, for deliverance from the wicked. Okay, this is Psalms, the 28th chapter. This portion of the chapter is entitled A Prayer for Help and Praise for Its Answer. All right, starting off at verse 1, it says, Unto thee will I cry, O Yahweh my rock, be not silent to me, lest if thou be silent to me, I become like them that go down into the pit. Hear the voice of my supplications when I cry unto thee, when I lift up my hands toward thy holy oracle. Draw me not away with the wicked, and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their hearts. Okay, so the heart meaning the mind. So they speak peace to their neighbors. They portray themselves to be the good guy. They're the victim. Everybody's just picking on them. The whole anti-semantics card. All right, when really, okay, they're imagining mischief. They're really the ones that cause a lot of this chaos in the earth. It says, give them according to their deeds, and according to the wickedness of their endeavors, give them after the work of their hands, and render to them their desert. Because they regard not the works of Yahweh, nor the operation of his hands. He shall destroy them and not build them up. Blessed be Yahweh, because he hath heard the voice of my supplications. Yahweh is my strength and my shield. My heart trusted in him, and I am helped. Therefore my heart greatly rejoiceth, and with my song I will praise him. And we're hoping that we're of that number in that day to be delivered, all right, from the wicked man, that secret counsel that is getting ready to come down with great wrath. Yahweh is their strength, and he is the saving strength of his anointed. Save thy people and bless thine inheritance. Feed them also, and lift them up forever. All right, and that's it. I'm gonna close it out with that. Okay, just wanted to show you this clip. You know, brother put it in the group chat weeks ago, but just now getting to it. I just wanted to show it to you guys. Okay, and like I said, you know, pretty much all wars are bankers' wars. A lot of them, most of the major calamities that happen on a worldwide scale are privately devised. They're planned out. Okay, a lot of them are psyops. All right, but you know, the devil Esau, Edom, is getting ready to come down having great wrath, according to Revelation 12:12, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. So just be aware of these things. Okay, you know, be aware of what's really going on behind the scenes. And really, it's Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai doing it, the left hand of the Heavenly Father, which is the reason why, you know, we fear the Most High that much more and obedient unto him to the best of our ability, hoping that, you know, in the day of judgment, when he puts that spirit on these Edomites to rise up and to bring the destruction that they're plotting. All right, we hope and pray that, you know, he has mercy on us and delivers us out of their hands. Okay, but that's it. I'm gonna close it out there. Heavenly Father's will is edifying. As always, all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai B'Hashem, Rach. And until next time, Shalom, and abide the ball.